was just a little girl, only 8 years old, when her world was shaking, when the truth went cold. Her uncle's life was taken, no answers, just pain. And the ones who did it just walked away. But she never forgot, never let it fade. Now she's speaking up for the hearts that break, for the moms, the dads, the kids left behind. She's telling their stories, one case at a time. Cold case crystal, searching through the dark, shining her light, following every spark, turning silence into sound, names into gold, 'cause justice should never go cold. She don't know their faces, but she knows their pain, standing up for the broken again and again. It takes 0 effort to be a good human being. This is cold case crystal, and justice should never go cold.
Okay, just let me know if you can hear me. I wanted to cover, as most of you know, Bryan Kohberger is supposed to give a guilty plea today, and we will cover that live because I reckon they're showing it live. But I wanted to give a little timeline to things. On November the 13th, 2022, 4 University of Idaho students were found dead in the off-campus home where 3 of the victims lived in Moscow, Idaho. They had been brutally stabbed to death. The victims was identified as Ethan Chapin, 20, Madison Mogan, 21, Xana Canodal, 20, and Kaylee Gonzalez, 21. Now, on November the 15th of 2022, the Moscow Police Department issued a statement saying an edged weapon, such as a knife, was used in the killings. No murder weapon has been found. Now, on November the 16th of 2022, the police held a press conference, and the Moscow Police Department Sheriff James Fry says it was a targeted attack. We do not have a suspect at the time, and the individual is still out there. On November the 17th of 2022, the coroner's office reports the victims were likely asleep when they were stabbed with a large knife. Some even had defensive wounds. On November the 8th of 2022, police released an aerial map showing the times and locations where the victims were on the night of November the 12th of 2022. And in the early hours of November the 13th, 2022, Kaylee Gonzalez and Madison Mogan were at a corner club between 10 p.m. and 1:30 a.m. and then headed to a food truck at 1:40 a.m. Ethan Chapin and Xana Canodal attended a Sigma Kai party. Just a second. I apologize, y'all. Okay, sorry about that. Um, okay, Ethan Chapin and Xana attended a Sigma chai party between 8 and 9 p.m. and were home at 1:45 a.m. November the 19th of 2022, investigators say they do not believe the driver who brought two of the victims, Kaylee Gonzalez and Madison Mogan, home on the night of the murder is involved in the crime. Remember, there was a lot of speculation about that. On November the 20th, 2022, detectives say they do not believe the surviving roommates or friends visiting the house at the time of the murders are involved. Now, at the time, they were coming out and clearing these people because there was a lot of speculation going on. On November the 20th of 2022, investigators looked extensively at information received about one of the victims, Kaylee, having a stalker. They had not been able to identify or verify a stalker. November the 25th of 2022, investigators collected 113 pieces of physical evidence and sent it to the Idaho State Police Crime Lab. Idaho Governor Brad Little has directed up to $1 million in funds for ongoing investigation. And this is just a timeline, you all. That way, if anybody hasn't been keeping up with this, they can kind of get an idea of where things are today, because the families are, or most of the families that I've saw, are not happy with this plea deal. November the 30th of 2022, there was a visual for the students. The University of Idaho held a vigil in honor of the murdered students. The most important message that we have for you and your family is to spend as much time as possible with those people. Stacy Chapin, the mother of victim Ethan Chapin, tells those that were gathered. December the 2nd, 2022, they had a potential clue. Police announced they are interested in speaking with the driver of a white. Hey, Heidi, I was shocked too. I kind of thought there would be a plea deal, but I didn't think it would be what it is. But on December the 7th of 2022, the police announced that they were interested in speaking with the driver of a white 2011 to 2013 Hyundai Elantra, spotted near the crime scene at the time of the murders. At a later date, the search was expanded to include Elantras from 2011 to 2016. December the 15th of 2022, a trooper's body cam captures a white Hyundai Elantra being stopped twice in Indiana for driving violations. The driver is 28-year-old Bryan Kohberger, who is accompanied by his father. They were driving home from Washington State University for winter break to the family's home in Pennsylvania. December the 18th of 2022, surveillance footage emerges of victims Kaylee and Madison just hours before the killing, walking through downtown discussing a man named Adam. He is not considered a suspect. December the 20th of 2022, the search for the vehicle of interest. And it says that investigators speak to an owner of a Hyundai Elantra located in Eugene, Oregon. The vehicle was involved in a collision and was impounded. The owner is believed to not have any connection to Moscow, Idaho. On December the 30th of 2022, police announced Bryan Kohberger's arrest in Pennsylvania for the murders of the University of Idaho students. He is being charged with burglary and 4 counts of first-degree murder. Kohberger was a PhD student at Washington State University, which is located roughly 8 miles from the murder scene in Moscow, Idaho. Law enforcement say they were able to use forensic analysis to connect Kohberger to the crime scene. If you remember, they arrested him at his mom and dad's house. In the middle of the night, he had took garbage to a neighbor's garbage can and was like rigorously cleaning his vehicle. January the 3rd of 2023, at a hearing in Pennsylvania, Kohberger waives his extradition to Moscow, Idaho. So they extradited him back and brought him to Idaho. The judge issues a gag order, which prohibits officials and others involved in the case from speaking about it. Now, this is something that the parents have even came out. Kaylee's parents, I know have. I've seen their Facebook posts where they said there was a broad gag order put on everybody speaking, but yet this school got to write a book. On January the 5th of 2023, public officers released an affidavit in the case against Bryan Kohberger. Among the filings, a witness claims she saw a figure of 5'10" or taller male, not very muscular, dressed in black clothing and a mask on the night of the murder. She said the masked figure walked towards the black sliding glass door and she locked herself in her room. The DNA found on the button snap of a leather knife sheath at the crime scene appears to be strong match with the DNA found in the trash at the Kohberger family residence. Investigators believe the homicides occurred between 4 a.m. and 4:25 a.m. Kohberger applied for an internship with the Pullman Police Department, and in his application, he said he had an interest in assisting in royal law enforcement agencies with how to better collect and analyze technological data. You all help me keep up with the time because they are supposed to go live at 11 and I don't want to miss that. Investigators checked the movements of Kohberger's phone and it stops reporting a signal at 2:47 a.m. and appears to turn back on at 4:48 a.m. This means the phone may have been in the area without cell coverage or the phone was turned off. January the 12th, 2023, a preliminary hearing for Kohberger was set for June the 26th. He waived his rights to a speedy preliminary hearing, and his defense team asked the court for time to prepare for the case. Hey, Chatty. On May the 5th of 2023, Kohberger was stopped by police a month before the killing. Newly released body camera videos show Bryan Kohberger being pulled over for allegedly running a red light about a month before the killing. The video shows campus police at Washington State University stopping Kohberger on October the 14th of 2022 in Pullman. The Idaho statement reported the officer eventually let him go with a warning. May the 17th of 2023, a grand jury indicted Bryan Kohberger for 4 counts of first-degree murder and felony burglary. I cannot pronounce that, y'all. For this alleged involvement in the killing, the same 4 murder charges he was already facing. On May the 22nd, 2023, at his arraignment, a judge entered a not guilty plea on Bryan Kohberger's behalf after Kohberger did not respond in court when the judge asked him how he pled to the charges brought against him. June the 21st, 2023, a DNA match. A DNA sample taken from Bryan Kohberger revealed a near exact match to the DNA found on the knife sheath at the scene of the murder in Idaho. According to new court documents, DNA found on the sheath was initially compared to DNA from the trash recovered outside Kohberger's family home in Pennsylvania last year. A cheek swab taken from Kohberger allowed for another more direct DNA comparison. So a lot of people were saying, they took it from the home, but no, they actually swabbed him and compared that one also. On June the 22nd of 2023, prosecutors have decided to pursue the death penalty for Bryan Kohberger, the man accused of murdering 4 University of Idaho students in November. August the 3rd of 2023, attorneys for Kohberger claimed he was going for a routine drive when the killing took place. Remember this, they called this an alibi where he was all by himself. According to new court filings on August the 3rd, Kohberger's attorney objected to the state's request for an alibi of his whereabouts on the night of the murder. In the documents, his attorney claimed Mr. Kohberger has long had a habit of going for drives alone, and that he did so on the night of the morning of the brutal killings. And that blew my mind, you all. How can you say you have an alibi when you clearly are by yourself? And that's not an alibi. If that's the case, everybody that's ever been accused has an alibi. Okay, Kohberger's attorney said in the documents that witnesses may be able to testify he wasn't at the scene of the crime. State law requires defendants to declare if they will present an alibi. So in other words, they said they may be able to find somebody, but they didn't really have an alibi. All they had was him saying he liked to go for drives by himself, alone, at night. August 18th, 2023, at a court hearing, Bryan Kohberger's defense questioned the validity of DNA found on the knife sheath at the crime scene that authorities allege connected him to the 4 murders. That's the most ridiculous alibi. It is, Heidi. Defense attorney demanded more information from prosecutors about the DNA. Prosecutors countered that they have handed over what they have. The judge denied a request for Kohberger's defense to delay the trial, which remains slated to begin in October. That was when this was published, and this is in CBS News. August the 23rd, 2023, Bryan Kohberger's trial will not happen as scheduled on October the 2nd. Kohberger waived his right to a speedy trial during the appearance in court, CBS affiliates reported. His attorney, Ann Taylor, spoke on his behalf and said she may not be ready for the trial by October. Lafayette County Prosecutor Bill Thompson has said he intends to seek the death penalty. During the court appearance, Taylor said her team will file a motion to strike the DP. Y'all know what I'm saying. And will file another motion seeking to ban cameras in the courtroom. June the 27th, 2024, We're getting close, y'all. A district court judge has set a June 2025 start date for Bryan Kohberger's criminal trial. On October the 10th, 2024, Kohberger's trial will begin on August 11th of 2025 and continue through November of 2025, according to the scheduling order issued in the state of Idaho. It had been scheduled to start in June of 2025, and we know now on June the 30th, 2025, Bryan Kohberger has accepted a plea deal that will spare him the death penalty, according to the letter sent to the victim's family by prosecutors. That is not how victim's family needs to be notified, first off. That's my feelings about it. You didn't have the decency to, like, give them time so you could have a meeting with them. Now, it's my understanding they did have a meeting, but it wasn't directly to talk about a plea deal. It was vaguely mentioned, and all the family said, no, we don't want that. And then the prosecutor is trying to say they're trying to save the family from having to go through the court hearings and see the graphic scene. But another family member stated, we've done saw that. They're not trying to save us. They're just trying to get this trial done. And as of yesterday, that I found yesterday, Kaylee Gonzalez died. Well, the family put out that the lease that they are asking for today is, if they're going to go through with this, which they do not want, that they would be, that Bryan Kohberger would have to tell when the beginning and the end was, and tell what he done and how he done it, and if anybody else was involved. I haven't had time to watch everything about this case. I do wonder why so many are saying he didn't do it alone or at all. Well, now what can they say? Because he's done went and pled guilty. He's not just pled guilty for, let me share my screen right quick, y'all. He's not just pled guilty for the sake of not going through trial. He knows he can get, if the judge orders it, life without the possibility of parole. And just to take the death penalty off. So he said he did it. And I mean, we can all be wrong. We've all been wrong at some point or another. So these people out here saying he's innocent, they need to truly look at what's going on. Let me see if I can get this screen larger. Why is it not letting me? It might when it starts. It might be where it hasn't started yet. It says we have 6 minutes left. So I'm real curious to see what they say. I haven't been able to keep up the past few days with the guilty plea, but wonder if he will allocate with it. I don't even really know. From what I've heard, it's he will plead guilty to remove the death penalty. And the family don't want that. They want him to have to stand trial. And they are saying that the death penalty is just something that the state uses to do a plea deal, to plea with. I have kept up with it over the years, but it comes down to the touch DNA on the knife sheath. Yeah. They think that's the only evidence. I think he is guilty. I just don't understand what reasons others have for not thinking so. Reminds me of two. I tell you what it reminds me of. It reminds me of how everybody acted when Chris Watts pled guilty. But now, and with that, just think his plea guilt included him telling what happened that fateful night. And yes, he got up and told it. But how many times has he changed it? I mean, I've always found it in my mind, I think he's guilty. I always wondered, did he have an accomplice? Because the first thing that he said was, has anybody else been arrested? I mean, I've followed it. I've just not covered it. Because when drama and chaos gets into a case, I get out of it. But that was always my big thing is, why did he ask that? Unless he thought it was a possibility. Now, Gray Hughes has got a great video with the timeline that shows the lights going behind that building beside where the students lived at the time. And I mean, you can almost set your watch by the headlights. I've always thought he was guilty, but I wondered, did he do it alone? I don't see how he could have done it alone. Nichelle, that was always my thinking too, is how did he manage to do that? And there's 4 in the house. Well, there's actually 6 in the house, but the 4 that he unalived, 2 were in each room. I mean, they showed the touch DNA to the grand jury, so people think it's not real evidence or enough. The prosecution doesn't need to show more evidence. I know, I wonder, will the family be able to give a victim's impact statement? They should be. 2 in each bed. Yeah. It makes you wonder. I mean, this case has always been a whole mess, in my opinion. But something that stood out was they give that gag order for anybody involved. And I mean, I may be wrong by saying this, but I think when they did that, they might as well have said, this is a gag order that the family can't speak. And I'm always for these victims' family. Regardless, I am for their family. And you had the mayor speaking, and the campus got to write a book. I mean, but the family couldn't. The prosecution would need to show how he did this without getting marks on his body. Well, that's true too. But didn't they say that they found like a jumpsuit in his apartment? I think he's guilty. I mean, for the grand jury, I don't mean for exactly. Yeah. That's how I took it anyway, Heidi. It's 11. It should be starting any second. Well, 1 minute by my time, it's 11. I wish it would let me make it bigger.
Hey everybody, it's Antoinette Levy.
And Jesse Weber.
We want to
I'll join. I don't care. Just a second. Let me take this down for y'all see my information. I wish I'd have noticed that before. I don't want to see the sneak peeks. I want to watch this. Okay. Live. Live. Okay, now I joined your little thing. How in the world? Uh, Anybody knows what I'm doing wrong? Let me know. Thanks, sir. This might be it. Just a second. Well, for my God. Uh, sir. See, it's got it like, and I subscribed, you all. Why in the world is it not letting me? Let's see. Let me see where she's watching it at. It still says scheduled. It may be the time zone. Mine says start. Yeah, I'm reading their comments now. What time is it in Idaho? Okay. I just seen the problem. Anyways, it's not time yet. As you can tell on the screen, some people's talking about the time zones. Um, it was counting down on here. I thought it would start at 11. 11 a.m. is what it says, Eastern Standard Time. Well, what happened? It's 9 a.m. in Boise. 9 a.m. Idaho starts 11. That penalty is a ridiculous waste of money. They are getting treatment and free lawyer, and death already happens. It's actually 9:03 in Idaho. If it starts in 2 hours, why does it say it starts at 11? Well, I mean, all these people have good questions. We're in the same time. What's another news network? I'll try it. We got the Diddy verdict. Jason's going over it. See, and there's that one. Let me see here. Court TV says live at 1. We're going to put both of them up here. We may come back. What did I do? Oh, Lord.
Folks, we have big breaking news in the Idaho student murders case of Bryan Kohberger. According to ABC News, in a shocking turn of events, Bryan Kohberger appears to have accepted a plea deal. Now, sources
Can y'all hear
confirm the prosecution has proposed dropping the death penalty in exchange for Kohberger pleading guilty to committing the 4 murders and pleading guilty to the burglary charge. Kohberger must also agree to spend the rest of his life in prison without the possibility of parole and must waive his right to appeal. All right, Kelly Craft was reporting live from Manhattan previously. I definitely want to thank her. We'll have more information on what's going on out there in Idaho. As soon as it comes into our newsroom, we will let you know.
Lord, every time I turn around, I'm muting myself. Anyways, on Court TV, have y'all heard anything I said? Anyway, on Court TV, it does say 1 o'clock. And right now on Court TV, this is what they're showing. They're showing Diddy. Let me see here. Entire window. Okay. Right here's what they're showing.
Both prosecution counsel, both Cassie and Jane Doe guilty. It was from that point on, it was excitement, for those who supported me.
But I thought maybe I would come back at 1 o'clock. I'll keep this stream up. That way people will have a timeline of events. Yeah, it's 1. I'm sorry. I got kicked off. And then when I come back on, I was muted. It's been a whole mess. You know me. But at 1 o'clock, because I know you all don't have the time to sit on here for 2 more hours, and nor do I. So we'll come back. I'll keep them both pulled up. A lot of people think he's innocent because the roommate saw him, but they didn't call 911 until about noon. I believe he's guilty. Law enforcement has a heap of evidence. I believe he's guilty. Now, I would have liked to know, because I'm nosy, not because I have a right to know, but why they didn't call for so long, and they're young too. I can't pretend to know what their line of thinking was, but that's a very good question. Why it did take so long for them to call 911. But I hope y'all are able to join me at 1 o'clock. Like I said, I'll keep this one here short because they ain't nobody got that much time to fool with Cold Case Crystal today. I get to make a trip to Charlotte Airport to pick up my sister. Not looking forward to traffic, but excited she is coming for the. Oh, I'm excited for you, Chatty. But y'all, I will be back here at, Chatty, be careful driving. I was FaceTiming with my husband last night, and he came up on a wreck, and the whole back end of the car was completely gone. And I mean, it's crazy out there. Right now is a bad time to even be on the road, to be honest with you. It being a holiday weekend, and you've got nuts anyway, and you put the two together, and that just makes a problem. But right now, I'm going to end this stream. I'm going to keep it up because I think it's good to have the timeline out there, because some people might have been like me. They covered the case at the beginning, and then drama comes in and you check out. And Michelle knows me really good. I'm sure she would verify in this chat that if drama comes up, Crystal goes out. She ain't going to be part of that. But at 11 o'clock, I will be back to cover this live. That's the way I am. Yeah, I know you are, Michelle. Me and you quite a bit alike. But then we'll have 2 streams. One, I have the timeline. One, I have the verdict or the plea deal. If drama comes in, Crystal definitely checks out. Yes, always. But I love you all. It takes 0 effort to be a good human being. You have to actually try to be a bad one. I'll see you at 1 o'clock, and let's see what happens. I hope the family, their feelings are considered, but from everything I've read online, you all, it's very sad. It doesn't seem like they even took that into consideration of what the family wanted. And I think they had that right. I think they had the right to, going to a trial would risk maybe him getting a not guilty verdict if he's guilty, because we've seen the system fail. That this is a prime example, in my opinion, that the system can fail even if, and Michelle, that's where I'm coming from too. I mean, it's hard to say I want this to happen or I want that to happen. To me, if I'm being completely and utterly honest, and people will probably come at me for this, but if he gets life in prison without the possibility of parole, it's sad that our taxpayer dollars would have to fund him to be fed and slept and everything, but have a bed to sleep in. But isn't that about as the max that you're going to get? Even when somebody gets the DP, normally they sit on DP roll for years. I just wish there was a way that they could have done this. And I think where they dropped the ball is they should have sat down with all 4 families and said, hey, we need to come to a resolution on this. And the families be able to sit there and talk within themselves about what this would be. And no appeals. That's a big one for me. Heidi and I are watching 2 families continue to be tortured 20 years later after appeals on the DP. Yeah, I mean, I get that. Where this, in my opinion, would be horrible is if it turned out like Elena. Now, think about that. Her mom took a plea deal, but she will be out, you all, in like 17 years. By 2040, she can be out. And sorry, but that still leaves her time to procreate. That's how young she was. Oh, goodness, that's horrible. It's horrible enough for them. I couldn't imagine appeal after appeal. And you see, let's think of Charles Manson. He got the DP, and then later on, the state removed DP from that state. So, I mean, in a way, the families are right. DP is another thing you can just negotiate with, but it doesn't mean it happens that week. They sit in there a while and laws change and stuff like that. But I do wish they would have sat down and talked to all 4 families in depth and let all 4 families come to a conclusion. But if he is pleading guilty to this and he gets life, if he gets life without the possibility of parole, then to me, that's about the max you can get. Am I wrong? I mean, I'm just a country girl looking at this. The DTP doesn't happen the next day. We have to pay for them to have a 1-person cell and all their appeals. Yes, and they'll probably keep him in protection the whole time he's there. It's not like he's going to get what people call jailhouse justice, unless he ended up like Jeffrey Dahmer. I mean, you know, that stuff does happen. But it just breaks my heart. I do know that you can just about bank on it. After this verdict today, these families are going to come out. They're going to come out and talk. And I imagine, as in all the cases, when we think that we know it all, we probably don't. There has to be a reason they're so upset, I would think. They can't even have a code. They have to be 100% healthy on D-Day. Yeah. And how crazy is that? You can't be sick on D-Day, but we're going to D your day. I don't get it. I don't get it, man. But again, I'll see y'all at 1 o'clock. Sounds like we got a lot to talk about. Y'all have a blessed day, and I hope you can meet me back here at 1. See ya.
I know you told your friend you're not okay, and tell me what's wrong and why you never said you felt that way. And guess you're trying to stay strong and fake a smile until I look away. But I've known you too long, it hurts to watch your blue eyes fade to gray as you fade away, as you fade away.
Yeah, I'm about to fade away, cause every time I wake up I feel like it's Monday. Something's going wrong with all the chemicals up in my brain. All of a sudden I don't look at anything the same way. Gotta build up of my thoughts sitting in an ashtray. I'm sorry that I'm so inconvenient, okay. Just let me be me and I'll stay out of your way. I can see the way you look at me, I'm such a disgrace. I never really asked to be brought into this place. You wanna love me? Well then baby I have a taste. All the highs and the lows, no, you'll never be the same. I don't really wanna hurt you, but I can't control the pain. If you're sticking by my side, maybe we could be okay. Okay, maybe you could be the change I need today. I promise that I've never felt this way. I really hope that you will choose to stay through all the pain.
I know you told your friend you're not okay, and tell me what's wrong and why you never said you felt that way. Guess you're trying to stay strong and fake a smile until I look away. But I've known you too long, it hurts to watch your blue eyes fade to gray as you fade away, as you fade away, as you fade away.
Like nothing I felt, my mind overwhelmed. I think that I'm broken, but I hope you can't help. I know I'm not perfect, but some days I feel far more worthless. Baby, you make me feel nervous. If I still have you, I have purpose. It's all worth it.
I know you told your friend you're not okay, and tell me what's wrong and why you never said you felt that way. I guess you're trying to stay strong and fake a smile until